Welcome back to another episode of the Healing Chamber podcast. This is Layla, and today the topic is don't be a female boss babe breadwinner. So we're going to get into details about what I mean by that statement. And so the first thing that I want to start with is that this whole mindset of being a woman and being the breadwinner of your own family is of course a personal choice. What I feel like is that a lot of women don't know the consequences of that potential choice, and this is just what I'm going to expose in this episode. Of course, everybody can do whatever they want, but I'm just going to explain in details what it means when it comes to the law, when it comes to the energetics as well in a relationship. And I feel like a lot, and I'm going to say the majority of the spiritual teachers we've been having, the female ones in the past decade, a lot of them have been bragging about being the breadwinner of their family. And a lot of times we don't know that, but this is actually associated and connected to the wounded patriarchy. So to have women that embody their divine masculine, or their wounded masculine, actually, I should say, but they usually package it in a way that's very feminine. So it's usually women that wear a lot of pink. Their branding is very pink. They smile a lot, and they're very motherly. They give this illusion of being very feminine. But of course, as soon as you have a woman, first of all, bragging about how much money she makes, which a lot of manifestation coaches do, a lot of women, this is a masculine trait, to brag about how much money you've been making. And I get it. I get where they're coming from. They want to show that they've been manifesting these amazing results. But I would recommend for them is to use testimonials of other clients, or at least to show their proof of how much they've been making, but by saying that this is a client instead of saying that it's them. First of all, the first thing is that it's going to repel wounded feminine men, because here's the thing. Men that are in this opposite type of energy, so men in their wounded feminine energy, they are looking for sugar mamas. They're looking for female breadwinners. And here's the truth about this. And I know I've seen influencers go through this with millions of followers, and they are warning their audience about the danger of being in that role. Is that what happens when it comes to the law, when you get a divorce, for example. And of course, no one gets into a relationship or a marriage thinking, oh, I'm going to get a divorce in like 10 years. No one. Okay, let's make that clear. No one wants that. It's usually forced, or it's usually up to a point where it's so uncomfortable for everybody involved, the children, that a lot of times women have to make that decision. So let's make that clear. No one gets into a relationship thinking they're going to get a divorce, all right? But if they do, what happens in the eyes of the law is that for example, the social media business influencer channel that this woman has created, becomes a family business. And because it is a family business, the ex-husband can be unemployed, for example, and then he can leech off and feed off that business that the woman created. It is considered a family business. So now the woman has to work. She cannot stop. She is forced to continue, because if she stops, the ex-husband can sue her. He can also sue her if she changes her appearance. That, you're telling me that's not controlling? Like, let's say you get a divorce, and then you chop your hair, you get some tattoos. Your ex-husband can sue you because you're the image of your social media business, right? You're selling courses, for example, manifestation courses. And then your ex-husband can sue you if you change your appearance, because he can say that it is defamatory, or it changes the family business, or yeah, you can get sued. So even more money, he can leech off even more off of you. And of course he's going to use that money to get a younger girlfriend, a 20-year-old, right, that he spoils, that he brings on vacations with your hard work, with the woman's money. Like, this is beyond horrible. And I feel like it's very dangerous. It's so dangerous when I see these like very famous manifestation coaches, like women, telling other women, you know, first of all, bragging about how much money they're making, because as soon as they do that, I know that's the wounded masculine energy. Just masculine in general, like to brag about how much money you make. Second of all, to brag that you're the female breadwinner, and that there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that if you know the consequences. If you have no issue about working up until the day you die and having to take care of your children alone while your ex-husband is financed by you, with, you know, and you're financing him and his girlfriend, his 20-year-old girlfriend's luxurious, lavish vacations, then go ahead. Of course, be my guest. Like, if you don't mind, of course, like, if you don't mind, do that. But I feel like a lot of women don't know up until the point it happens to them. And a lot of women, for some reason, assume that if they pay the bills, or a lot of times I've heard women, you know, pay these like lavish family vacations, right? Because I get it. Like, you want to go on a luxurious vacation with your husband and your kids, and you pay for all of it. A lot of women assume that their husband is not cheating because they're paying for that lavish vacation. Most men don't care. Most men are going to be texting their future younger girlfriend on that vacation. You know, and at some point we have to be honest about the reality and the society that we live in. And of course, I'm not saying like this is good or bad. I'm just saying like this is a reality. And I'm so tired of seeing women suffer in this dynamic. It is absolutely horrible. Like, it's already horrible to like go through a divorce, having all those fees, and like it's already emotionally painful to like have your children go through that as well, and to go through all of this, and to add like a layer on top of it where you're also funding your ex-husband, man-child, wounded feminine ass, and you're also funding like all the gifts he's giving to his new girlfriend because he's trying to impress a 20-year-old, which is not too hard for a man like that. And it's so sad. Like, I grew up with women like that. So I know, I grew up with, there's a lot of women like that in my family who have been so used and abused and exploited by men that for some reason, a lot of women in my family thought that, oh, if I pay a man's phone bill, he's not going to use that phone to cheat on me. No, it doesn't work like that. They're going to use you to build themselves to impress younger women. So how to avoid that? Don't be a female boss babe breadwinner. Your money is your money, and his money is your money too. And this has to be made clear before the engagement, before the marriage. And even if he makes like false promises, like, you need the cash in hand. That's why women need to have a list before they get married. Like, this is what I want. I want my name on the house, on that deed. I want this car, this ring. I need this amount of money in my savings account, or an allowance. I prefer allowances because he doesn't get to like manage or know how much savings you have. Like, no joint accounts ever. A lot of women get abused and exploited through that as well. And just ask for an allowance, and you need the cash in hand prior to get married. Don't focus, like, if a man is making all these promises and he's not giving you cash in hand, it is not real. It is a fantasy that he's creating to get in bed with you, to get you to have his children. Like, he's trying to get something out of you. You need the cash in hand. And I know it sucks to live in a society like that, but this is the majority of men. This is not all men, but this is the majority of them. And of course, we know like some couples can stay together for their whole life and the woman was the breadwinner. And for some reason, it worked well for them because she's in her wounded masculine and he's in his wounded feminine. So of course, like any polarity, like it's going to work together. They're going to be miserable most of the time, but they're going to be together. So yeah, I'm seeing so many women go through this right now, and a lot of these influencers are warning other women to not do that, because I can't even imagine how painful that is. To like see my money, like the money I earn, I worked hard for, or whatever, like my money go into a 20-year-old's purses and shoes while I'm the one working hard and funding all of this while I'm taking care of the kids. And my ex-husband, they all do like these bankruptcy, they all do like bankruptcy so they don't have to pay alimony. So you're the one paying alimony. Like a lot of women don't think like 10 steps ahead because they think my man would never do that. No one thinks their men would do that. No one. Because a lot of times men are not emotionally connected like women are. Like we're emotionally connected. Like we would not even do that to our neighbors. We wouldn't do that to our children. We wouldn't do that to a friend. But a lot of men are not emotionally wired like women. They see their children and their wife as investment properties. If an investment property is not giving you back the ROI that you want, they're gonna find another investment property. That's why in those cases you see all these men find a new girlfriend, a 20-year-old girlfriend, like a few weeks or a few months before the divorce is finalized, because they've been keeping 3 to 4 options during the marriage. They've been telling all these, by the way, fantasies and lies to the younger girls. Obviously, he's not going to tell her the truth. He's going to be like, oh, we just live together. And it's always the same excuses, guys. Oh, we just live together for the kids. We're not even intimate anymore. Like they all say the same thing to get what they want out of that 20-year-old who's naive and think, oh, this man is not being intimate with his wife. That's why I need to be intimate with him. It's so messy. That's why, I want women to be more prepared and to at least know, like, this is the direction you're going into. Or if something happens, do you have a plan B? Do you have a trust fund to your kid's name? Do you have like funds, savings, a self-love stash that I called, like cash, a safe, something? If anything happened, like that was like one story, like one scenario with the younger girlfriend, the divorce thing, but there's like an infinite possibility of scenarios. And this is something we have to set up with our teenage daughters so they know, like, when they're getting into a relationship, marriage, they know what they're getting themselves into. And even as a mother, like, we, like, on top of like educating your daughter, obviously you also need to have savings and money set aside for her as well, just in case. You never know. Just in case, like if her husband passes away, and she's alone with like 3 kids, of course she has money set aside. She had an allowance that doesn't, comes up anymore. Some men are actually very manipulative because you might think, oh, but she's going to get half of the house. They don't have a prenup. Some men are like 10 steps ahead because they're very calculated and they're not emotionally connected to their wife. So what they do is they put the house to their parents' name or their brother's name. So then now suddenly the house is not even an asset that has to be splitted. So there are so many things, so many loopholes. And of course, like there's so much we can prevent, because there's always going to be smarter people, like lawyers, like people that literally do that like every single day for like 20, 30 years. But what I notice is that when we set high standards and we have money set aside that no one knows about, and we have those clear standards that all the bills are going to be paid by the man, and as soon as he's not doing that or he's complaining or whatever, Do what men do. Find 3 to 4 options to get out of there. This is what they do. It's not a fair game. That's what people don't understand. We cannot play with fair rules because it's not a fair game. And women and men haven't been playing with the same rules for too long, way too long. And a lot of women are waking up to that, thankfully. And, educating the younger generations is going to be, like, for a lot of us, our sole mission, It's going to help so many, like millions of women, avoid being exploited and abused by the patriarchy and exploited by men. Like, enough. We really had enough. Like, it's been a while, but like right now we're done, And it's very dangerous when I see these women, bragging about their money and oh my God, I've retired my husband. Good. Now he can cheat on you like easier. Now he has time. Good for you. Now he can go on these like quote unquote golf trip with his friends, quote unquote, and cheat on you. And I know a lot of women don't want to hear that, and they're like, but at the same time, like, for how long are we going to bury our head in the sand? Like, how long? We're doing that for another, thousands of years? Like, again, more suffering, And so that's why I always say, that love is something you experience with yourself, self-love, right? First. And then you experience unconditional love with your children and your animals. And less than 1% of men in our society are able to connect emotionally with women. But because they were brought up with women, mothers, that are emotionally disconnected, that's all they know. And if you actually give them real love, they're going to be like, what the fuck is that? So you have to like recreate what they've experienced with their mother, which is usually narcissistic abuse. And of course, you can never talk to a man about this because you're going to trigger his soul. You're going to trigger his deepest wound. Like the mother wound and the sexual wounds are the deepest wounds you can trigger in a human and a woman, especially a man. Like if you want to get beat up, like bring up his mother and, his wounds, and that's it. Like you're going to, he's going to get violent. So anyway, let's end on a positive note. Like I said, to avoid all of this is to have high standards, to have a list of things that has to be brought to you prior to making a decision about marrying someone. We're going to do like the little birdies, little birds, female birds. They need to see the nest before they decide if they want to lay eggs there with that male bird. Same thing. That's how simple it is. And men who don't want to get on board with that can do whatever they want, can go on their way, because eventually in like 2 or 3 generations, men who don't provide are not going to exist. They're barely going to exist. All right. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow for our next episode.